Hey everybody, it's Cam, and today I just wanted to make a list of all the cards in Back 4 Blood that are my favorite, and I just overall think they are the best. This is fully my opinion, and at the end of this video, just go ahead and leave a comment saying which card you like the most in this game. Alright, let's get into it. So, the first card I'd like to mention, because I definitely think this is the strongest card in the game right now, is PINATA. PINATA gives you 15% chance to drop accessories when you get kills with accessories. Meaning if you throw a pipe bomb, you might end up spawning 5 different items, toolkits, barbed wire, another pipe bomb. As long as you're lucky, this card is amazing. And it goes really well with the PYRO card, which is also on my list of favorite cards, simply because of the synergy between these two. Up next, we have Hyper Focused, which I have in almost every single one of my decks. It gives you 50% more weak spot damage, but it makes you slower while shooting or melee attacking. In my opinion, this downside doesn't really matter for the benefit it's giving you to your damage, and that's why I like taking it in all my decks. Another card I find I take a lot of the time is Admin Reload. This card makes it so when you swap weapons, your other weapon will reload itself. This means you can keep shooting and you'll never have to go through a reload animation ever again. Now, this card is awesome when you take it. The problem is if you get used to having it and then you don't take it, it gives you pretty bad habits of switching your gun, and then once you switch back, you have no ammo. So it can put you in a bad spot when you don't take it. That's why I have it in most of my decks. Patient Hunter is a card I like to take specifically if I'm using a sniper, and I use a sniper most of the time, so I'm using this card most of the time. This card can give you up to 30% more damage as long as you ADS for a little bit. This card has no downside, and it actually can give you more damage output than Glass Cannon, which takes 30% of your health away if you take it. That's why I take Patient Hunter instead of Glass Cannon. A card that's not really amazing at anything, but I do tend to put it in a lot of my decks, is Cold Brew Coffee. My reasoning is that it does a little bit of everything with no downside, and I find it just to be a nice filler card. Another card that's not really necessary, but I do really enjoy it, is Knowledge is Power. This card will make it so you can see the health of specials after you've damaged them, and it gives you 10% more weak spot damage. I really only take this card to see the health of the specials because I find it makes it easier to decide whether you should switch to your secondary and finish off the special, or possibly back up a little bit and reload. One card I wasn't too sure about putting on this list was Headband Magnifier, mainly because it's not really useful in Act 3, but I still think this card is really strong and the downside isn't that bad. It just makes you blind for a second if you get hit every once in a while, which I would rather go blind with 125% use speed over having 75% use speed and having -5 damage resistance. If I'm ever playing Act 1, I definitely want to have Headband Magnifier in my deck because it makes the last level incredibly easy, especially when playing solo. In terms of copper cards, there are 2 of them that I really like, and that is Bounty Hunter and Money Grubbers. I think if you take both of these cards, copper won't really be an issue anymore, especially Money Grubbers. If you get Cost of Avarice, you're gonna end up rich by the end of the level. Copper Scavenger is also a nice pick, but I just prefer the other 2 over it. Amped Up is a card I like to take, especially in my dock builds, but I tend to throw this card into a variety of other decks as well, because getting 20 health every time a horde is called in is pretty nice. I mean, it's not as good as it used to be when it gave you temporary health, but it's still pretty decent. It's especially nice when you have timed hordes, because you know every few minutes you're going to be getting healed for at least 20 health without having to use any item. And speaking of using items, I have put every single scavenger card on this list. I definitely prefer support scavenger and utility scavenger over offensive scavenger, and that being just because utility scavenger has become so important to fill your inventory with toolkits, because toolkits are insanely strong right now. They can open toolkit rooms, they can open alarm doors, and they can give you a free heal at health stations. Support scavenger, obviously nice to find bandages and health kits as you go through the level, but I will say offensive scavenger is nice if you're doing a PYRO build, making it a little bit easier to find the items that you spawn in, and also giving you extra chances just in case you got unlucky with the spawn, so you can get another Molotov and get going again. Whenever I play dock, there are 2 cards that I will always take, and that is Needs of the Many and Medical Professional. Needs of the Many gives your entire team 1 extra life, and in my opinion, in this game, no matter what difficulty you're playing on, 1 extra life is really all you need. And then Medical Professional makes it so you can give your team an extra life back using a med kit or defib, and you can restore trauma damage. Medical Professional is a really strong card, and it goes nicely with Needs of the Many. Now I'm going to talk about a lot of cards that have to do with melee, because there's actually a lot of them that I really enjoy and I think are strong. Starting off with Spiky Bits, which has changed, so it makes any melee weapon do 20 more damage. The reason I love Spiky Bits right now is because if you take this card, your bash can actually kill Ridden. This essentially has made it so Combat Knife is irrelevant. You honestly should just take Spiky Bits and forget about the Combat Knife altogether. Plus, Spiky Bits will give you damage resistance while you're holding a melee weapon. So overall, Spiky Bits is just better. Speaking of cards that have received a change and are just amazing, is Adrenaline Fuel. This card used to only give you stamina over time when you got kills, but now it will give you 5 stamina instantly. This card basically makes anyone as good as Old Holly, almost. If I am playing as melee, I want this card, that is for sure. Another card that is almost a must pick for melee is Meth Head. This card was changed and it's actually technically better, but it's more annoying to use. In order to get the full use out of Meth Head, you have to swing in the air 10 times, but after you have all your stack, this card is great. If you have Meth Head, you really don't even need to take any other cards that have to do with melee attack speed or melee stamina efficiency. It really is that good. The downside is you can't aim down sights anymore, but if you're playing melee, you really don't need to. A card that's not really necessary for melee is Heavy Hitter. When you take Heavy Hitter, you are able to stumble any special on the first hit. This card is so good. Technically, you don't need a melee character to even take this card, because even just a punch can stumble something when you have Heavy Hitter. If you've been playing this game for a while, you'll know that stumble is really important, and personally I find Heavy Hitter the most useful. Whenever a shredder sucks you in close to it, you can just turn, punch it, and then run away. It's also just handy for any special you have to deal with, other than like monstrous crushers, which you can't stumble, but it's still a really good card. Now on to 2 cards that really change how the game is played when you take them: Well Rested and Fit as a Fiddle. With Fit as a Fiddle, you get extra space for temporary health, and it goes well with Well Rested. That makes everyone have 20% team overheal, meaning when you get healed, that health can turn into temporary health once you hit your limit. Overall, I really enjoy both of these cards, and they do benefit a melee and a pyro the most, but I will still put these cards into my deck even if I'm not playing as these roles, just to make whoever is playing as these roles even stronger. Now onto my 2 personal all-time favorite cards in this game: Run Like Hell and Mad Dash. Run Like Hell gives you 12% move speed and 15% sprint speed, unless you get hit and then you lose all benefits for 3 seconds. I think this card's really good because if you're getting hit, you probably want to stop, turn around, and start bashing to stumble whatever is chasing you. That way you can keep running. I would never just take Run Like Hell though. If I were to only take one movement card, it will always be Mad Dash. Mad Dash gives you 20% sprint speed while making you have negative 40% sprint stamina efficiency. As you play through an act, you're going to find free cards, and there's also upgrades to make it so you'll have more stamina. So eventually this negative sprint stamina efficiency doesn't matter as much anymore. And for the most part, whenever I'm sprinting, I'm doing it in small bursts to just give myself a little bit of distance. That way I can turn around and kill whatever is chasing me. The point of Mad Dash is not to run through the entire level. It is to do what I just said: create distance. I think Mad Dash is a really good card. Whenever I'm playing this game solo, I always want to take this card, and even when I'm online, I'll usually take Mad Dash in my deck because having that little bit of movement speed goes a long way. These next 2 cards I think are really strong, but they have an issue that they don't stack. I hate to recommend taking cards that don't stack in this game, because unless you're fully communicating with your teammates what cards you're taking, then you can run into the issue where you're not getting the full use out of your entire deck. The cards I'm talking about are Mark for Death and Shredder. Both of these cards are meant to make it so you do more damage to special. Mark for Death will make it so everyone does 10% more damage whenever you mark a special, and Shredder will make it so you can stack up to 15% more damage onto a special. Both of these cards are amazing because they're really good for just targeting one special and absolutely obliterating it as a team. I actually do take these cards in some of my deck, but as a rule of thumb for myself, I will only take Marked for Death if I'm playing Walker. That's because Walker already has it built into his kit that when he marks stuff, whatever he marked does less damage. So if you're playing Walker, you should be marking special specials anyways. For Shredder, I do like to take it on Doc mainly, but recently I found myself wanting to fully have Doc with healing cards, so I've actually started putting Shredder into my Walker deck as well, making Walker the ultimate debuffer. Alright, that is my list of the top cards in this game. Let me know what you think in the comments. I want to know which card is your favorite. Is it one of the cards on this list? Is it a completely different card? Let me know. And if you enjoy these kind of videos, definitely like it and subscribe to see more of the Smoovers videos. We stream Monday to Friday and sometimes on weekends on YouTube, and I would love to see some of you there sometime to come hang out and chat. But until then, have a good one, everybody.